so you have harassment and you have stealing or dishonesty. What sort of behaviors might be tolerated in other places, but for you, it was never tolerated?
The way our people looked, the way our facilities looked, in addition to our trucks, showing up for time on meetings. I remember I had a young Harvard MBA working for me out, and we were on a trip out in California, and we were supposed to meet in the lobby at 7 a.m. And at 5 minutes till 7, he comes down from his room. And I said, John, you're late. He looked at my watch and he said, Bob, it's only 5 till 7. I said, you're on Cintas time. You get here 15 minutes early. And so, just doing what you say you're going to do. When you tell an employee, a partner, as we call them, you're going to get back to them on Thursday, you get back to them on Thursday. You do what you say you're going to do. And with customers, that's even more important.
Yes. So, personal question about high standards, high expectations. Where does humility and compassion kind of fit into your organization? And I'm asking this because I know it does, and I know it does for you too. So just talk, if you don't mind, a little bit about, high standards, high expectations, and humility and compassion.
Well, I think they can be harmonious. I think one of the things I talk about in my book is that people have to know how and when to be tough and how and when not to be tough. Yeah. I was a pretty strong taskmaster. I had high expectations of myself and everybody that worked for me. But I remember one case where I had a fellow who worked for me. All of a sudden, his results began to slip. And I had to talk with him about it. And he told me he was going through a very difficult divorce. Fortunately, I have never been through a divorce. And at this age, I probably never will go through one. But I understand because my son went through one. It's a very difficult time, a very stressful time, particularly when the lawyers get involved. And, I backed off because I thought to myself, this isn't the normal thing that this fellow does. He's going through a difficult time. I'm going to give him time to get through his divorce and see if he can get back on track. And he did, and he got back on track. And so there was a time where I said to myself, you can't do or be the same person you normally are because there's extenuating circumstances here. I think it's also true with a person in a new job. Ken Blanchard once said, an enthusiastic beginner, when they do something approximately right, you should praise them because you want to encourage them to do more. And I think that's true with a person that's new. It was also true with people who first joined our company, particularly through acquisition, because we had a completely different set of standards. It's like playing golf and par was 73 and now it's 69 when you come to work for Cintas. We didn't expect those people to just flip a switch on day one, be compatible with us and understand what we did and how we went about it and to completely buy into it. We knew it took time. We did say to them, though, after about 9 months or a year, you should either get on the bus or get off the bus because you're not going to succeed here if you're not compatible with our values and the way we run the company. But at the same time, we don't expect you on day 2 to all of a sudden embrace all of that and understand it all. So you have to recognize there are certain times when the normal standards have to be laxed because of the situation that you're dealing with.
Yes, a couple of contrasts come to mind. One is, being tough and also being open, which I've noticed in the book. There is this openness to input and feedback, and that kind of, being tough and being open, and then the tension or the balance between challenge and support. If we challenge people, but you just don't throw them in the deep end of the pool if they've never had a swimming lesson.
Exactly. Well, yeah, expectations can be unreasonable at times. And there are a few times in my career, I remember I had expectations that were unreasonable. And when that happened, I went back to the person working for me and said, you know what? I don't think I could have done any better. You had some difficult, extenuating circumstances here. Could be the economy. You had goals established before the economy went into recession. It goes into recession and you have to recalibrate those goals. And so I think sometimes, no matter the best efforts to have your objectives and goals be reasonable, Sometimes they aren't. And when they aren't, you need to go back to the person and adjust them and explain to them that you didn't fail here. I raised the bar too high, too fast. And so from a humility standpoint, I would say the number one thing that I believe we had in our company was to recognize that the people doing the work, the people in our plants, the people driving our trucks, the people making the sales, knew more about the problem than management would ever know. They're right next to the problem, right in the middle of the problem all day long. And therefore, just because you have a college degree and you have this title manager behind your name, doesn't mean that you know more than that person working the plant that's living with that problem every single day. So get your tail out of your office, go out into your plant, ask the people what's wrong. They always know, and they usually know how to fix it. So don't think that because you have more education than they have, that you have more knowledge than they have. And so that was what we always respected the people on the front line. And anytime we had a problem, the first thing I did, if we had a problem with our customers, I'd go to the guys driving our trucks and making delivery and interfacing with our customers and say, what are we doing wrong? They'd always know. And I said, well, how do you think we ought to fix it? And they usually would know that too.
Yes. Yes.
And they're sitting out there doing their job, wondering, why doesn't management understand what's wrong here?
That is exactly right. So I think it was in your book that there's this, if you really want to know what's going on in an organization, don't ask the manager, ask the frontline people. I think that's something in your book, is that?
Absolutely. And it isn't because the manager's lying to you. The manager will always tell you the way they think it is or the way they know it should be. But you don't know how it really is unless you ask the people. For example, we had a 10-week training program for new service salesmen, we called them, people who drove our vehicles. And when I'd go to a plant, I would always say, how long have you been with us? He said, 6 months. And I said, well, tell me about your training program. Okay, sure. I said, how long did it last? He said, 6 weeks. Oh, okay, thanks. And I'd have the manager by the neck about 10 minutes later. But that's how you found out what's really going on. You talk to the people doing the work.